Hey you, what up? Welcome to my channel. Welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the new NATASHA DENONA XENON palette, which I already reviewed in a short, but this is going to be an in-depth, very well-educated review because, spoiler alert, I really love this palette and I've got some opinions and I've got a look up my sleeves, and basically, I just want to talk more about it because this is something that I think everyone will love. So I just want to give this palette its space on my channel. This is what I'm here to do. So if you are here for this video, if you are into eyeshadow reviews, then give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you aren't already, notification bell for those Wednesdays and Sundays videos, and now let's get into it. NATASHA DENONA in-depth review, tutorial, and verdict at the end using the new XENON palette. Let's hit it. All right, $69. This is what the NATASHA DENONA XENON palette looks like in studio lights. This is a limited edition, online only at Sephora palette, and this was actually inspired by the mini XENON palette from ND, which contained 5 eyeshadows. So this is a cool toned, smoky type of palette with lots of gray metallics, lots of sparkling blacks. In fact, there are 5 different formulas in here: powder and cream mattes, metallics, sparkling foiled, and the wet effect finish formula. Those of you who watch my channel all the time, you guys already know I did a YouTube Shorts review, mini review for this palette, and I filmed it in natural light, but I gotta say, this palette is so good. I wanted to review it again. I wanted to give you a super in-depth kind of tutorial and another look, of course. And I just wanted to talk about it from a standpoint of experience and knowledge in this palette. I've already had it for at least a month and I've used it several times. Spoiler alert, I really love this palette, if I didn't already say so. I just want to play with it some more and I want to give it its standalone, full-length YouTube video, not a shorts, but also shorts. Definitely check that one out, especially if you want to see the different ways that these swatches actually look in studio light versus natural light. Another thing that I wanted to bring up is how a lot of people online seem to think that this palette, the XENON palette, is very similar to the Pretty Grunge palette by Huda Beauty. Now this palette I reviewed in my previous video and I did talk about the XENON in it. I said that these two palettes, although seem like they could be similar, like the packaging looks similar, but in reality, holding them side by side and showing you some close-ups, these are very different. Very different color stories. The XENON palette is definitely cooler, definitely grayer, definitely more smoky, whereas the Huda Beauty palette, the Pretty Grunge, has a little bit more plummy shades and some warmer tones, while also having those very sparkling and very shiny type of shades. I will say that Pretty Grunge is a really good name for the Huda palette, and although you can definitely do grunge with the XENON palette, to me, this is more of a cosmic, celestial type of color story. And I think when you compare them side by side, you can clearly see it. One is definitely the glammier side of grunge, the other one is just a little bit more mysterious. It definitely reminds me of the cosmos. That's the best way that I can describe it. So I've got my matching mirror over here because this is very, very silvery and I am gonna be creating a silvery look. I'm gonna try to do something that's different from the previous look that I put together. So I'm gonna go ahead and slap on my Fenty Beauty eyeshadow primer. Not that I need to. I like the way that the NATASHA DENONA eyeshadows perform with this Fenty primer. So I'm gonna start with the clay smudge brush from Laura Mercier. I'm gonna go for this rather blue shade called Ebb. This is probably one of the only non-gray tones in here. There's also pink, but of the deeper shades, this one definitely has a blue tint, almost like a navy tint. Reminds me of a night sky. And so this is what I'm gonna use. I'm going to basically heavily line my top lash line with this eyeshadow. And what I love about NATASHA DENONA eyeshadows is that they all have a varying degree of each formula. So for example, this is a metallic, but this metallic is almost a matte. Like it's not super shimmery. It's not sparkling whatsoever, but it definitely does have this slight shiny, satiny type of finish. It does definitely have that reflect, but it almost feels painterly under your brush because it has a bit of that creamy finish or creamy feel to it. So as you can see, I'm just staying right underneath my crease. This is my crease. I'm kind of just using that to create a very thick eyeliner shape. And with this brush, I'm not being super precise. This is still a very soft wing. I'm gonna take and extend onto my lower lash line as well, just like that. So nice. Alright, I'm gonna repeat that on this eye. Now I've had this palette for a while, like I said, but I hadn't gotten a chance to review or film any testing new makeup videos because I've been traveling, and so I still have to do something with the Danessa Myricks Lightworks 5 palette. I still have to film a what's new in makeup video for the month. I've got a lot of plans, but bear with me because I'm actually also traveling again this week. So once I'm back, it's back to business. I just thought I'd use this opportunity to talk about a palette that I've really been liking and show you yet another way to use it and give you more of an in-depth, more an educated type of a review, as opposed to a first impression, because first impressions are good, but sometimes opinions can shift, you know? And it definitely does happen to me a lot, which is why I feel like my Faves X Fails videos are super important to watch at the end of the month, because I have experienced some changes of heart, especially when it comes to products that I didn't initially love. But with this palette, it was a love at first sight. I loved it immediately, and I still love it because it's just great. All right, so now that I have this kind of defined but not so sharp winged out eye, I'm gonna take a brush like this, like a soft dome, and with this gray shade called Snert, this is like a medium gray tone, I'm just gonna go over the border of this liner that I created and just smoke it out, smooth it out a bit. And with a clean brush, I'm gonna smooth out and erase any of that extra smokiness. So now you can see this is a lot more soft, but it still has that edge, you know? So I'm gonna do the same thing to this eye, first on the bottom, and then on the top, and then clean brush to erase. This is very bluesy, very jazzy. Next thing I want to do is use some of these silvers. So for the silvers, I'm going to grab a tiny brush. I'm going to go for this very light silver called Superionic. First I thought it said Supersonic. I'm going to pop that right here. Kind of just surround my whole tear duct and just disperse like that. Next I'm going to go for this shade called Greu, G-R-E-U. And this is just a darker version of the Superionic. I'm gonna just start popping that over the center of the lid into the blue, just for a little bit more shine, a little bit more splendid, or is it splendor? Shining, shimmering splendor, or splendid. You know what I'm trying to say. I love it already. It's just so easy, yet so effective. Next thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna dip my finger into this wet effect shade called Stellar. I'm gonna pop that right to the center. So this is so cool because if you add it over a dark eyeshadow, it takes on the color of the dark eyeshadow, but it gives it that wet sparkling finish. But if you apply it over your bare skin, it just looks like sparkles, like wet sparkles on your lid. So pretty. So this is a great layering type of color. And there's 2 shades like that in this palette. It is Stellar, this one here, and it is also it's not skirt, but Skift. And it's Skift, this one, which is like a nudier version of that. But Stellar is what I'm gonna use for this look. First for the center of the lid, just to add that metallic, wet metal type of vibe, and then disperse the sparkles up into the brow bone like that. I feel like that's a very Nikki Tutorials type of detail. I love it. To be honest, I don't really want to do much more, but if I did, I would probably grab a bit of this Sposh, which is a cream matte eyeshadow. And if I want to just intensify the outer corner, I'm just gonna pop it very gently in there, just for a little dimension. And that's it. That's all I want to do. That's pretty much the look, at least using just the eyeshadows. I'm gonna go for the Huda Beauty Creamy Kohl. I'm gonna borrow that from the Pretty Grunge collection. And I'm actually gonna tightline my entire waterline, top and bottom. Then I'm gonna take a small detailing brush, go back into that black shade, and kind of just seal that waterline from the outside to make sure that it is connected to my smoke, like that. Kind of going in between the lashes here, just to make sure there's no gaps. All right, for the lashes, Cleantopia Mascara. I've been growing out my lashes using this lash serum, and I actually finally have started to notice a difference. And so now I feel like I don't actually want to curl them. I feel like I don't need to. Because they have grown, not much, but a noticeable millimeter or 2. Because they have grown, I feel like now I can kind of mold them upwards using my mascara. So I don't necessarily need to curl them. Maybe it's just in my head, I don't know. Since there's smoke on the lower lash line, I am gonna add mascara to my lower lashes. And now for the lips, MAC Strip Down Lip Liner, which I'm already wearing, but I want to perfect it. And then for the lip color, I'm going to use this Dose of Colors Liquid Lip in the shade Nude Rose. Oh, this is very, very nude. Suddenly made it very, very grungy, this look. All right, so this is my final look using the NATASHA DENONA XENON palette once again. This is a palette that I personally love a lot. I think this is a very unique color story. It is very interesting. It is clever. I really like all the cooler tones. Granted, there's not much variety in these cooler tones. There's a lot of sparkling blacks and matte blacks and varying shades of grays in both matte and shiny and metallic formulations, but it is put together so cleverly. All of these shades work in harmony, in unison, and because of all of this variety, there's tons of looks that you can create, from grungy to glam to ethereal to cosmic to anything that you set your heart to. At least that's how it feels for me, which is why I'm filming another video with it. I also like this pop of pink, which is a unique pink too. And you can see in my unfocused swatches that I conducted that this particular pink isn't just a pink. It's a very interesting, it's a very complex type of color. And I could say that for every single eyeshadow in this palette. Everything is very complex, very well thought out, and I give it a 10 out of 10. That is my story. That is what I'm sticking to. If you guys are interested in this palette, like I said, it is available at Sephora online for a very limited time for $69. It is pricey, but it is made in Italy and it is really, really well made. With that said, I am going to say farewell. I'm going to invite you to check out more of my videos over here. Check out my XENON palette shorts. I love you guys. I will see you in the next one. Peace out, and I'm out. Deuces.